first one is, how can I get my son to sit in his high chair during meal duration without climbing out of the chair? So I think we have an exploring toddler na.
Yeah. That's actually a hard question to answer, no? Kasi each child is different, each family is different. There's no just one answer that will correct the behavior, no? So we also have to see the context of the situation. So kapag nangyayari yun sa bata, ang iisipin natin as the mother or the father or the caregiver of the child is, bakit yun ba yung nangyayari? Why is that happening? So explore the surroundings. Maybe the seat is not comfortable for the child. Okay, so we have to make sure na yung high chair natin has comfortable yung back, nakasit straight yung bata. Yung footrest ng bata, natatapakan niya talaga, yung paa niya natatapak dun sa footrest, because that will lessen yung dangling na feet, tapos mas magiging agitated siya, mas hindi na siya concentrated sa food. So I always say that dapat yung foot nakakaapak sa footrest. Yung tray table niya dapat like at the height na comfortable siya, yung elbows niya naka-rest properly. Okay, so baka number 1, baka hindi comfortable yung child dun sa seat. Okay? Number 2, baka naman climbing out of the chair because the child is already done with feeding. Ayaw na niya, busog na siya. Okay? So that's maybe one of the cues for the parent to say na, okay, finish na yung eating.
Heavy traffic reported ahead.
We also have to remember yung division of responsibility of feeding, meaning the parent decides on the what, the when, and the where of feeding. Meaning, parent yung nagde-decide on what to put on the table, when to eat. So if it's mealtime, it's mealtime, and where to eat. Meaning, kapag umalis na siya sa high seat niya, hindi mo na siya nga habulin, susubu-subuan. Okay? So, ano naman yung responsibility ng bata? The responsibility of the child is whether to eat or not, and how much of the food that they will. So, meaning, if bumaba na siya, it looks like the child is already full, the child is done, then respect that appetite of the child. Para mas makikinig din siya sa sarili niya. If, okay, I'm already full, my tummy feels full already, so I don't want to. Okay, so we have to explore. There's no one straight answer for that question. We have to explore first, bakit umaalis yung bata dun sa seat niya. So that's a very difficult question. So hopefully nabigyan natin ng konting tips yung mom who asked that.
Yeah. I'm curious about the high chair. You mentioned the foot plate. I noticed that not all of the chairs have. Is there a way to go about that?
Yeah, good question. No? So for some na wala, if the feet of the child is still dangling, you can put like a chair in front of the high chair na medyo nakaside, na tapos hindi pa rin siya abot, walang footrest pa rin na hindi abot. You like roll up a towel or cushion, or so ngayon may mga blocks of parang toys ng kids na yung medyo malambot na malalaki. So you can put that under the feet para magto-touch talaga yung paa ng bata dun sa footrest or kahit DIY na footrest. So as the child grows older, mas maaabot na niya, or like you can put a chair underneath na wala ng cushion, then that's better also. So you can DIY the footrest if hindi available. So you don't need to buy. If you already have, you don't need to buy another one. Okay, so dapat maging resourceful lang tayo dun sa pwedeng gawin dun sa seat.
Yeah. And this mom had mentioned about duration of time. Is there a specific amount of time that children should be eating, or a general guide?
Usually, if the normal meal time, kasi usually mas maganda if at least one meal time of the day may kasamang family member yung bata. So remember, especially in the Philippines, diba? Ang meals natin, it's more of a social thing also. So dun din matututunan yung proper eating etiquette, or diba, yung how to also during family mealtime, doon kayo nagkukwentuhan, what happened during the day. So, how long usually yung dinner time? Di ba? Mga 20 to 30 minutes, including all the social events, di ba, sa dinner. So, usually ganun din yung sinasabi natin for kids. No? 20 to 30 minutes. If ayaw na niyang kumain, stop na siya, or naglalaro na lang siya, then you can ask the child, are you full already? Are you full or finished? No more? Then you can take, if ayaw na niya, hindi na talaga siya kumain, you can take out the food. And then if the child is hungry for during snack time already, then you can try to offer another set of. So around 20 to 30 minutes, usually ang complaint niyan, Doc, mga 1 hour na, hindi pa siya tapos kumain. Then, pack up ka na talaga. So you can also do other things at the house.
And I think one of the worries also is they're not getting enough food also, diba? And I think I've read that the first year and a half is about practicing the eating. So, tama ba yun? Like the nutrition that they're getting is mostly still like from their milk intake and such. And the time that we do at the table is to get them used to the whole eating process.
The food. True, that's correct. No? So, usually from 6 months to 1 year old, napipressure din kasi some parents na hala, hindi pa siya kumakain ng ganito. No? So I always tell them, don't focus on kahit ilan na yung food na nakakain mo or whether or not baby-led weaning ka, di ba? Medyo nauuso yung mga ganun. Don't pressure yourself on that. Just teach the child the feeding skills. So how to hold a cup, how to hold a spoon, or how to hold the food. So yung mga yung pincer grabs, yung mga how to hold mga small food or big food. So yun yung mas kailangan nating i-practice from 6 months to 1 year old. Because you're right, that's why it's complementary eating. Kasi it just complements the main nutrition at that time, which is still breast milk or formula.
And I think yun nga yung highlight to know, if you're not participating in the eating, you don't know how to hold that spoon and that cup, then you probably don't want to sit there as long and eat your food because someone else is probably doing it for you.
Doing it 800 meters.
True.
Keep left.
So it's parang it's whole senses approach, diba? You don't eat na lalagay mo lang sa bibig mo. You have to look at the food, you have to smell the food, touch the food before yung bata is more comfortable with putting the food in their mouth. So it's really a whole sensory experience for them.
And then you talked about baby-led weaning. Is there a pro and con to baby-led weaning versus when we mash food, puree food?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, as you know, I'm also I'm very passionate also with baby-led weaning. Actually, I didn't learn about baby-led weaning in school or in training. I learned it from mothers. I learned it from reading more from nutritionists, dietitians, etc. And for some parents who do baby-led weaning, they're really happy about it. Mas exploratory daw yung child. But I have to correct also a misconception, no? Kasi minsan parang nagiging black and white na pag mashed food ka, pag pureed food ka, hindi na siya baby-led weaning. Actually, that's not true. You can still do puree feeding, mashed feeding with your other food na mas parang baby-led yung size, yung mas malalaki, mas nagagrasp nila. Ang point din ng baby-led weaning is they try to learn the skills of feeding on their own. It's really more responsive feeding. I think yun yung kailangan mas ma-focus natin dun sa baby-led weaning. That's why it's baby-led. The baby takes control on their food. So kung kakainin ba nila yon, if i-explore ba nila yon, if ilalagay nila yung kamay nila sa pureed food or mashed food, that's still baby-led weaning. So it's really more of we have to concentrate on whether or not na baby-led ka ba or traditional ka ba. Ang mas mag-concentrate tayo is if we're doing responsive feeding, meaning no pressure at the table, don't force feed, let the child explore more on the food, and progress the consistency of the food. No? So yun naman yung important. Even if you started with puree, then mashed, at around 10 months, that yung consistency medyo mas nag-iiba na. So mas malalaki na, mas finger food na. So yun yung that's the responsive feeding. And there's actually ang medyo concerned din ng ibang parents would be yung choking episodes. Baka daw mas malaki yung possibility na ma-choke yung bata if malalaki agad yung ibigay. Actually, studies have shown that there's no difference whether the child there's no difference or increased risk if the child is baby-led or yung traditional approach. So, choking episodes wise, hindi siya deterrent for baby-led.
Ang galing. I learned something new. I also didn't know about that misconception, but that does make sense now that people will say na mashed food ako, so I'm not baby-led, and then the whole argument starts up then. But I really like what you're talking about in terms of responsiveness. And I think it's all about being responsive parenting in general. Kumbaga, they're not eating for your sake. No, they're eating for their own. And kumbaga, our children sometimes have their own agendas that this food is colorful, it looks like fun, and I want to hold it. Pero I know then on the parent side, please eat, you need to have your calories and you need to gain weight. So I think it's a challenge, and I kudos to the parents who try to balance that
Very
out.
much.
Okay. Well, we have a last few minutes. I wanted to give you the floor, Doctal, if you had any parting words to our viewers and our participants.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. And for the parents who might be watching this after this recording session, please know that you are doing good. You are, kasi there's really so much parang siguro fear or insecurity on am I doing well? And yung social media, it really amplifies that, yung mga feeling natin we're not good enough, we're not doing well. Please know that you are a good parent. The fact that you are asking questions, you are interested about your child, that's already a sign of good parenting. And kumbaga, whether or not kung ano man yung approach mo on parenting, Montessori way, baby-led weaning way, kung ano-ano pang bagong ways yan, di ba? You know your child the best. So, that's why we, pediatricians, doctors, we always trust yung kumbaga, yung mother's gut or parents' gut, because you know your child best. And we're just so happy to be working with you and your family. So, thank you for that opportunity.